With the new announcement of Payday 2 being upgraded to the Diesel 3.0 engine, I knew that there would be a lot of new and returning players. A lot of those will try Death Sentence and immediately give up, as it is fairly difficult for anyone on their first try. This video will teach you some very basic concepts to surviving a Death Sentence, as well as how to control yourself in high stress situations. The main trick is just keeping calm. First I'll talk about the boring stuff, and then I'll give some visual examples, and at the end I'll even share with you some builds I've been using to get by. First, the boring stuff. You should take into account what kind of assault phase you're in. With Vanilla HUD Plus, you can customize visual cues. However, if you don't want to add visual cues, then you can also pay attention to how the cops are acting. The four main phases are Anticipation, Build, Sustain, and Fade. Anticipation is the short time before SWAT begins swarming the area. This is usually the best time to move, if not in Fade, to complete objectives that are out in the open or just to clear areas. Build is a short few seconds of the police using flashbangs and smokes to make their entrance. They will be incredibly aggressive in this phase and try to enter the building or area you are in. Sustain is the main part of the assault wave, lasting the longest. If you can, stay close to your objective, but mostly focus on keeping a small area clean and don't leave your cover. Finally, in Fade, you should be clearing out additional areas and getting any objectives you need to finish off and then moving on to your next spot. This is when you should be running for doctor bags or taking risks because the copsters aren't as aggressive. Now that you know what the phases actually are, let's talk about surviving. A lot of players will just tell you to stay in cover, but there is a very specific kind of cover that they're talking about. They don't mean sitting in cover, as that's more dangerous than moving around. By cover, they mean using your gun. If you shoot enemies before they can shoot you, you won't die. Sounds really simple, right? As long as you're constantly moving and not staying to one location whilst clearing enemies, you will have a much better time surviving in game. Always clear enemies before moving on. If you're leaving enemies in the area that you're moving to, you're just going to get shot. That doesn't mean that you can get cocky, because you should still be taking your time between your movements. Let's look at the difference between these two clips. In the first clip, I'm on First World Bank. I'm in cover, and I'm completely safe. However, I still managed to go down from these two dozers. Later on the same map, I'm doing the complete opposite. I'm actively engaging with the cops between the pillars of cover, and using my gun to clear them effectively. It really is that simple. I'd also like to quickly mention enemy prioritization. If you don't know what that means, essentially it's who you should be killing first. This is my opinion on enemy priority from the most important to the least. Medics, dozers, cloakers, tasers, and then normal units. This is only for your groups or your most ideal situation. If needed, however, if there are closer units, then you should always aim for the closest or the unit that is most likely to kill you. With the boring stuff out of the way, let's get into some builds and how to survive with them. Before we do that, I do want to ask that if you have learned something new, do drop a like and subscribe so I know that you did get this far, or if you just want to steal my builds, that's cool too. I do also stream Payday 2 Death Sentence runs on Twitch, so if you want to see how I get through on Death Sentence or you just want to say hello, it will be linked in the description. The first build is using the active perk deck Sicario. Sicario is a dodge deck, increasing your dodge by 20% every time you are shot, resetting when you dodge. Your armor also regenerates when you successfully dodge. Sicario also comes with a smoke bomb that increases your dodge chance and reduces enemy accuracy. The most success I've found when using this build is through being incredibly aggressive during sustain waves on those maps with long corridors or lots of buildings to run through. The most common way to use your throwable is to cover your movements. Throw them on enemies when they are between you and your next spot of cover. You can also use them on yourself when reviving another player. You won't be able to just throw them on yourself for a bit of space, make sure to use your brain. Your secondary is the weapon you can use against dozers or large groups of enemies, while your primary weapon covers the enemies at longer ranges. Your first aid kits are to support your health regen. You can bring doctor bags if you are confident in your ability to keep your health high using Hostage Taker. I've shown this build on my stream quite a lot, as it's just useful in almost any heist, but it does have its weaknesses. You cannot take dozers face on, they will obliterate your health. You cannot rely on your dodge or your smoke bomb for passing through enemy groups. Other than those two very big weaknesses, I hope you have fun with this one, as it's probably the most fun I've had whilst playing an active perk deck. prefer a passive perk deck, this is my copycat burglar build. Set all your cards to dodge and dodge courage. The build, just like the previous one, is an aggressive setup that doesn't require as much brain power. SMG for normal units, and your akimbos can deal with any dozer in your way. As long as you remember to crouch when in any sort of cover, or before and after you move between objectives, you won't get shot as much. This build is really simplistic, but it won't carry you. You still need to use your brain a little bit and think about which objectives you'll be aiming for. I hope that those two builds will at least be of some use to you. I would like to say that if you are playing Death Sentence, you will go down. It is just a normal thing that happens, and whilst you can try and prevent it, it will eventually happen because of natural human error. It is okay to go down, and you're not letting down your team by letting yourself go. The best thing to do is just shrug it off and get back into the game with a calm mindset. You will play 10 times better if you're calm and relaxed and actually having fun. If it isn't fun for you, then just let your teammates know that you're not having fun and then drop out. That's the most respectful thing that you can do. As always, you can check out my Payday 2 streams on Twitch and ask me any sort of questions if anything here is unclear, or if you just want to join me in a few games. I honestly wanted to get this out there because of the amount of people I see blatantly refusing to take cover and assuming they will be fine. Even without communication, just taking cover should help you at least support your teammates. However, that's about it. It's super simple, and yet a lot of people just forget to take this stuff into account when playing. I hope you learned something new, and if you have any tips that I didn't mention, you are welcome to leave some in the comments below to share your experiences. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.